Welcome back, guys. This is part 2 of my Adobe Illustrator swatch panel beginner guide video. Here we'll cover how to create a color palette and how to create your own swatch libraries. Make sure to watch till the end because I will be showing you how we apply this to a professional presentation. Also, click below if you haven't watched part 1. So I have a sweater that I sketched here and I want to make color multipliers out of this. So we don't have to only use the colors that are in our swatches panel. We often try to get color inspiration, and that can come from a variety of different sources. We make mood boards, we do research, and sometimes we just see something that we like and that inspires us. So I saw this image online and I thought the colors were really beautiful. So I want to use this to maybe get some colors for my sweater sketch here. So let's start off by just making a box. And what we're gonna do is take our eyedropper tool and start grabbing some colors from this image. So I'm gonna start with the lightest color here. It's kind of like a beige, like a light beige color in the sky. And I'm just gonna click around on it until I get a color that I think that I like for my sweater. So I like this color. And I'm just going to now copy the swatch. And I'll take my eyedropper tool again. And this time I think I'm gonna go for this yellowish color here. And I'll just click around until I get a shade that I like. So I'm liking this one. And I'll just copy my swatch again and take my eyedropper again. And this time I'm gonna go for a little bit more peachy color. So like this color maybe, but I'll click around to see if there are any other colors that I like more. And I like that one. And now I'm going to copy it again. I think the next color I'm going to target is maybe a darker peach color, like what we see in the corner here in the sky, like a dark coral, like a medium to dark coral. And I like this one. So now I think I'm gonna target this sage color in the water. And as you can see, when we click on different spots in the photograph, we're getting different shades of this sage color. Some are darker, some are lighter. So you can just click around until you find one that you like. And I think I'm going with this one. So we'll copy that again. And this time I think I'm gonna go for a blue color. So here we have like this dark blue in the water, but we also have this lighter blue, kind of like a mid-tone blue that's right above the water in the sky. And I like this color that I got here. It's kind of like a slate blue. And next I'm gonna go for a purple. So I'm just gonna click around, and as you can see, there's dark purple here where the purple meets the blue, and there's lighter shades of purple. So I'll click around till I get something that I like. And that one's looking nice. And then last but not least, I think I'm gonna try to grab a brown color from the rocks. And as you can see here, I'm actually getting some olive tones where there are highlights in the rocks on the bottom here. So that's pretty nice, but I'm gonna go for a brown from up top here. And I'm liking these colors, so I think I'm gonna go with these colors for my sweater. So we have the colors for our new color palette now. And what I'm going to do is just move the colors and the inspiration over to the side because I need to make space to make my color multipliers of my sweater. And I will add this color palette into my swatches panel as a color group. So I'll just select around all the swatches and do new color group. And I'm calling these sunset colors. So there you see my new colors. And if you don't know about this, it's good to know that you can also rearrange your colors within your color group. So I want to have them in the same order that I have them here, where I put them light to dark. So I'm gonna move my beige over to the beginning and move this yellowish orangey color to be the second color. Moving the darker color next to the peachy color. Moving my brown to the end. And now they're in the same order that I have them over here. And now that we've done that, we can use it on this sweater, and we can also use it on any other garments that we're trying to color up within our presentation. That's one of the reasons why you want to have this in your swatches panel, because that way you can easily pull these colors and not just use them on the first garment or object that you're trying to color up. You can use it on other items as well, and they'll match exactly to the first item. So let's do our color multipliers of our sweater. So I'm going to take my sweater and double click on it to isolate it, and grab my magic wand to select all of the white fill within the sweater. So my fill box is in front, and I'm now going to just click on the first swatch in my palette. And we've made that into the beige color. So now we're holding Alt-Shift and dragging our garment over to copy it to make our new colorway. And we're double clicking to isolate. Take your magic wand tool, click on any beige part to select all of the beige within the garment. And now we're clicking on our yellowish orangey tone that we made here. And we're clicking off. And now we're following the same process to make our next colorway. So isolating, selecting the color with the magic wand, and using our light coral here. Again, we're copying, isolating, selecting with the magic wand, and we're selecting our dark coral. It's kind of like a terracotta color. And we're just gonna move those up, and we will just take this one and copy it down, isolate, select with the magic wand, and we want to use our sage color. Now we're going to copy that, isolate, select the color, and we're going to use our blue. It's kind of like a slate blue color here. And now we are copying, isolating, selecting, and using our purple color. And now we're going for our last color, which is the brown. And there you have it. Now we have our sweater in color multipliers using our new color palette. And I really like the way that this turned out. But as you know, in fashion, we are often changing and editing things. So let's say that we ran these colors for the transitional season and we want to bring this sweater back for the spring season. So we're going to need to use lighter colors. So we're going to change this up a bit, and we're going to instead create a spring color palette based on this palette that we have right now. So let's figure out what colors we want to do for spring. So I definitely think we're not going to do the brown because it's just too dark. And I like the idea of keeping the peach color, but this darker coral color I think is gonna be out. And I think I just want to make maybe a palette of 4 spring colors. And I think I'm not going to be doing neutrals right now. So let's take the beige out. And I don't think that I need a yellow and a coral. So I think I like the coral better. So we're going to keep that. And right now we have these colors. But actually, I think that I'm going to get rid of the blue. And what I'd like to do is add like maybe a pink color because it's spring. But I'm definitely gonna lighten these up. So first thing I'm gonna do is lighten up this first peach here. I wanna get like a really light peach instead. So let's select that peach color with the magic wand, and I'm double clicking on my fill box in the toolbar. And I'm just going to lighten this peach up. I'm gonna play with the color until I see what I like. And I'm thinking that I'm liking this shade better. So as you can see, it's lighter than the original. And now here, this is where I'm gonna go in a pink direction instead of this peach. So let's try to get a nice, fun pink for spring. And here you can change the hue. Because I have the hue selected here with the black dot, I can slide this up and down and change the hue of the color that I have. So what I need to do is go more into the reddish range to make that pink. And so we're getting something like this, and I'm just gonna play until I get what I like. So I'm liking this color here. So that's looking nice to me. And now I definitely want to take this purple color and make it a lot lighter and brighter for spring. So we're selecting, isolating, double clicking for the color picker. And we're just gonna go up and around on this box till we find a color that we like. And I like this type of purple. It's really fun for spring. And as you can see, we really need to lighten up this sage color here. So we're going to select that color and double click and start playing around and figuring out what color we want to use for the green. And I think this turned out nice. So we're gonna make this our new spring color palette. So now if I want to add this color palette to my swatch panel, I will drag over all of the sweaters and do new color group in the drop down menu. And I'm calling these spring sweater colors. So now as you can see, my 4 new colors are in a new color group, and it also brought in the black from the outlines, so I don't need that. And I can just drag it out into the trash bin. So while we're talking about this trash bin here, I just want to quickly go over a few things that were not in the part 1 video. Just quickly, we can go over these icons that we have here on the bottom. And some of these are just repeats of what you have in your drop-down menu, which we went over extensively in the part 1 video. So as you saw, I used this trash bin here to delete the swatch that I didn't want. So that's just an alternate way to delete swatch, which you can find delete swatch up here in the drop-down menu as well. If we want to make a new swatch, this is also an alternate way to make a new swatch within your swatch panel. As this first option that we have up here, new swatch, it's the same thing. So if you make a box with a new color that you're making from the peach color and you want to add that to your swatches, you just make your color, select it, and click on new swatch, click OK. And it adds it right into the end of your main colors on your swatch panel right here. Then we have new color group, which is also an alternate way to do what you have up here, new color group. So let's just make another color. So we want to make a group with these 2 colors. And instead of going up here and doing new color group, we can just go down here and do new color group, and it works exactly the same. So you see it made a new color group. And then another option that we have is swatch options down here. And if you click on this, this is exactly the same as the swatch options that I showed you in part 1. Basically the same as if we double click on the swatch, and also we have swatch options here. So there's about 3 different ways to pull up your swatch options. And that's something that you'll find a lot when you're using Illustrator and Photoshop. There's often multiple ways to do the same thing. But this swatch options box down here actually has another function. If you have a swatch selected, you can pull up the swatch options. But if you have a color group selected, so if you click on the folder of the group, you'll see that this icon here changes. And it changes into edit color group instead. So if you click on that, it's going to pull this up. And as you can see, the group that you selected is up here. And what you can do with this is change your color palette into other color palettes. And you have the option of changing it all together or only playing with certain colors. And as you can see, it's giving me a new color palette. So this is a little bit more complicated, and we can talk about this in another video, but it's good for you to know that you have this option. And then here we have the show swatch kinds menu. So this is similar to what we have up here, where you can sort by name, sort by kind, but it is actually a little bit different. So here we have show all swatches. So in the panel, you'll see all of your swatches, including all of the default colors, the solid colors, your gray tones, your gradients, patterns, everything that you've put into your swatch panel. But you can also do show color swatches, which shows you only the solid color swatches, or you can do show gradient swatches. So it's only going to show you the gradients, or you can do show pattern swatches to only show you the pattern swatches, or you can do show color groups, which is going to show you only the color groups. So let's go back. So now that we made our new color palette here, I'm going to show you how to save this as a swatch library. So remember that in part 1, we spoke about all of these built-in swatch libraries that Illustrator has. So you can create your own swatch libraries to add to this. And this will save you some trouble because if you know that you're going to want to use these specific swatches in future projects, you don't want to necessarily have to open the same file again in order to grab those swatches. So what you can do is first decide what you actually want to have in the new library that you want to make. So for some reason I have my gray tones duplicated here. I don't know why, so I'm going to put that in the trash. And I think that I don't need to have all of these default colors for that library. So I'm going to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of some of the default gradients as well. So I'm just selecting them, putting them in the trash. I'm keeping my white color. You cannot get rid of the registration, and you cannot get rid of the no fill box. Those always have to remain in there. I'm going to keep these newer patterns that I put in here and the brights that I had from before and the two palettes that I put in here today. So that's what I want to keep for my new swatch library. So in order to make this library, I'll click on the drop down menu and go all the way down to the bottom, and I'll click on Save Swatch Library as AI. So this is going to save these swatches that I have here into its own library that I can use later on. And what you want to do is name it something that you're going to remember later on. So I'm going to name this Spring Sweater Color Palette. So I'm clicking save, and I now have my new swatch library saved so that I can use it later. So right now, let's complete our initial presentation, and then I'll show you how to retrieve your swatch library on a new project. So now that I have my spring sweaters colored up, I want to add another garment from my collection to this board, and I want to put that in the same colors. So I have this A-line skirt here, and I'm going to use my color palette to now get those same exact sweater colors onto the skirt. So let's do that. So I'm double clicking to isolate, using the magic wand to select the white from the main part of the skirt and the waistband, and I'm clicking on my peach color. So now our skirt matches our sweater perfectly. And I'm just going to copy this over and do the same exact thing and get all of my skirts to match my sweater. And there you go. Now we have a professional design presentation using our new color palette that we made. And we were able to do that by understanding how the swatch panel works and how to make color palettes in the swatch panel. So let's say that it's a couple of weeks from now and we want to use these same swatches on a new project. So let me show you how to pull up that swatch library. So I've opened up a new blank file here, and we're just going to make a few boxes that we're going to fill in, and this is going to be our new project. So I'm thinking, oh, I really like those swatches that I used on the spring sweaters, so let me pull those colors up again. And so what I'll do now is I'll click on the drop down menu in the swatches panel, go to open swatch library, and instead of opening one of these built-in libraries, we're going to go to user defined. So when you hover over user defined, as you can see, here are the names of the libraries that I have saved in my own custom swatch libraries. So if you remember, I had titled my file Spring Sweater Color Palette. So we're clicking on that. And here a panel opens up with that spring library that I had made. And here you can see that all of those colors are in here. So here I can use those new colors that I had made in my spring sweater palette. And I can also use any of the other colors that I had decided to save within that swatch library. And something interesting here, if you notice, when I selected colors from the gradients, and if I do that also with a pattern, as you can see here, those colors automatically go into my main swatch panel once I use them on my artboard. So that's just an interesting fact to know. And if, let's say, I have this color library open and I don't want to have a lot of floating windows all around, I can either drag this in with the others, or if I know that there are just certain colors that I want to use from this library, then what I can do is take those specific colors and drag them into my main swatch library so that I can then close out of this library. So if I know that I opened this library specifically to just use these 4 spring colors, I can actually take that and drag it into my main swatch library, and then I can close out of this one and I don't have to have an extra window floating around. I can also just drag individual colors into the library. and then I can close out of this. And another reason to take the colors that you want to use and put them into your main library is also because sometimes it can get a little confusing to have both your main swatch panel and a swatch library open. What happens is that, let's say you're working on your file and you create a new color. So I'm creating like this bright green. And now I want to add this to my swatches. You know, I might also be working with my layers or with my appearance and with other things. And then when I see this palette here, I try to drag my new swatch into the palette and it's not going in. So I'm wondering like what is going on? And what I realized is that you can't actually add new colors to a swatch library in this manner by just dragging it in. You can only add the new colors into your main swatch library, which is what you're supposed to be working in. So as you can see, if I drag this color here, it does now appear in my swatches panel. But if I continue to try to drag it into the library that's been saved, it's not going to go in there. So for that reason, that's also why I try to decide what colors I'm using from the library, and then I drag them into my main library and I try to just X out of this and work in here so that I'm not getting confused. So remember to pull up that new library, you do open swatch library, user defined, and choose the name of what you titled your library, and it will pull up and you're able to use those colors in the future. So I hope that you like this video, and if you're a beginner, I hope that this really helped you to learn how to navigate through the swatches panel and how to make your own color palettes. If you like this video, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Thanks a lot, guys. See you in the next video.